Hello, YouTube subscribers. Today or tonight, whenever you're watching this, I am doing um basically my first and last review on every season, real quick, point blank, real quick, on every season of Supernatural throughout the series. Now, uh would I do video by video of each season be better? Sure, but 15 seasons, and it would just be better if I just shorten it in one video, or try to, hopefully. But um first, once again, I know I've been lazy. I haven't been posting. I'm sorry. Bad on my part. I'm trying to get back into that motion. So here I am, trying to get back into that motion. So anyway, jumping from there into basically my first and last review of Supernatural. Okay. Supernatural. I had no clue. One night, one night I saw a trailer of Supernatural. I did not know it was Supernatural because I was more into the Scooby-Doo type part of what they were showing, which it was a Scooby-Doo episode. And from that episode, I was so excited because I was like, "Oh, Scooby Doo, this is cool. This looked new, awesome." And I obviously, as I reviewed the first two and of the first two movies, the first two live action Scooby Doo movies, that had Matthew Lillard in them. The As I mentioned in those videos, I am a big Scooby-Doo fan. I love Scooby-Doo. Jumping off of that, basically, I really got into I really liked the commercial of what they saw, so I recorded it one night and then waited until it came on, and then after I got recorded it, I watched it, and I was so drawn. I'm like, okay, two brothers. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of following. And then, so after that episode, I'm like, okay, well, these two dudes and a third guy that I'm like, okay, popped out of nowhere. I'm like, are really cool. This guy named Dean, this guy named Salmon, and their pal, Castiel. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then they get trapped into the TV, and they end up being one of the episodes of Scooby Doo, which was like even more the main reason why I recorded it was Scooby Doo. But at the end of the episode, that's when I'm like, okay, well, these two dudes, Sam and Dean and Sam, with their pal Castiel, I'm like, are really cool. They seem really cool. They seem awesome. I liked the action they showed of them. So I did a little bit more research. I'm like, oh, it's a series. It wasn't a movie. It wasn't when I went back, yeah, it was an episode. I realized that because at first I didn't really realize anything. I'm like, okay, so it is an episode. It is a series. So I went back, and I'm like, let's just see how many seasons are there out of the series. I'm like, 15. They were on their 15th season. So I'm like, okay, well, basically I got whole every season set for me. So once I get to the 15th season, it will already be out and done. Great. But before I started the first season, which it was actually really funny because I went to Avengers Endgame, saw that for the very first time, came home after that movie, and I was in a very emotional, breakable state of shutting down, not even wanting to be near anybody, around anything Marvel. Anybody Marvel, anything Marvel, I did not want to be around of it, because after that really put me in a very emotional, breakable state. So one day my mom and I went to Walmart, and I found basically this big pack of season 1 through 5, and I'm like, $30, or at least I think it was $30 or 40 or 30. And I'm like, mom, can you please help me get this? And she's like, yeah. Which I paid her back, and I was trying to figure out, okay, during the time of helping her, and on my weekends, and then because I was like, the year I started getting to Supernatural, or was trying to, and around the year of Avengers Endgame was like around the year of a year that I was like in a special kids needs program to show special needs kids to hold down on jobs. So along with that, kind of helped me pay my mom back. And then something that my mom and my teacher then told us, school is canceled for the rest of the year. The program was canceled for the rest of the year. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was loving what I was doing, which luckily I still had the job waiting for me after COVID, because my my boss basically was still my boss then, offered me a job before COVID hit. So it was nice. It was awesome. So I knew, and while I was waiting impatiently for COVID to get over so I could go back to the job I actually liked doing, I had this to distract me a little bit. And Supernatural season 1, I actually jumped into it quickly. I loved it by the very first episode. The very first episode was where basically Dean and these two brothers, Dean and Sam, as everybody should know Supernatural by now, unless you're not really a fan, or if you're very picky how they actually went, where the direction went. But it was basically where these two brothers, Dean and Sam, where Dean gets his brother Sam from college because he needs help finding their dad, and their dad is off somewhere hunting something, but not picking up their calls, not picking up haven't been seen. So basically, but Dean did get a message from their dad, and he was in a town hunting. He was hunting basically a spirit that basically known by a spirit, took in the name as everybody known as the Woman in White, another version of La Llorona. Because as you learn in the episode, there's many versions of the La Llorona story. Many women has fallen to that cycle of depression of the Woman in White, and they became the woman in white themselves. So, but as they get to that town, they realize their dad's not there, and then at the end of the episode, Sam wanted to go back, and because that was part of the deal before they went, Dean was like, okay, so he drove Sam back to his house where Sam left his girl, that more than likely planned it to marry, and which her name was Jess, and he ended up finding her as their mom died on the ceiling, her stomach bleeding, basically statued to the ceiling, like she was a statue glued, made to the ceiling, looked terrified, and all suddenly burst into flames. Uh, so and so from there on, Dean and Sam went town to town, hunting each monster, basically each ghost, each monster is a ghost. Anyway, whatever you prefer. Basically went town to town hunting each ghost, and actually stumbled upon a few times a monster, and a few monsters, and basically you slowly realize throughout the first season, Sam, after losing his girl, went on a dark streak on actually wanting to find their dad, learning what killed Jess, because that's what their dad is hunting. That's why their dad is keeping his distance, because he feels like if he keeps his distance from the boys, it won't go after the boys. But as you learn, it does anyway, because you learn Sam has this connection, and that's what the demon that their father is hunting, because the same demon killed their mother years ago. And at the end of the first season, they actually do, near to the first season, they meet up, they find each other, they meet up, and a little bit more closer, they were on the urge of actually killing the demon, but Dean didn't finish the job, because he told Sam that he already lost so much, and if that's how Sam and their dad wants to go, then no, he will not want to finish the job as long as it takes to keep them alive. And the more further you go, you get more of a stronger connection. Like, okay, at the first season didn't take it, but you were interested. Then the second, the more and more you go on, the more and more connection you get with the boys and everybody around them. And by everybody that you lose, which, okay, not expecting, but because I finished the first season a little bit on the first week during COVID, and because I basically because I started the first day right when I got home from school/work, all through the night, and I finished the first season. I was totally invested. I was in tears, mostly because I was still getting over the whole Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America trauma from Avengers Endgame, but more because I actually grew a connection with the boys. And and when I started the second season, that's when I actually went more depth into, but the more and more that I went, the more and more I actually realized that basically I actually grew more connection with everybody that Dean and Sam came across, which was good from the show, that deeply invested to have you And the more and more you go, you more and more you realize what struggle that Sam and Dean has to go through most time. Like in the first season, they struggle to try and find their dad, try and find the thing that killed their mom. Well, that's also what by going town to town, hunt to hunt, and that's what kind of the second season does. But at the end of the second season, that's where basically they open the gates, one of the gates, and the first gate basically, and Dean slowly realize that Dean and Sam slowly realize one of those gates were basically the first key to basically unlock one of the locks on Lucifer's cage. So if Lucifer gets out, that's the bye-bye of the world. But also you have Dean and Sam bicker most time like normal brothers, because at the end of the second season, Dean sells his soul to save his brother, because the demon that killed their mom basically had Sam go through a test, as he also have other kids go through a test that he also corrupt and give them special powers, special abilities, and so on. At which the demon that killed their mom, which was named the Yellow-Eyed Demon. But I didn't realize jumping into the show, which I should have, knowing that there could be consequences of getting close to characters, getting close to characters that Sam and Dean maybe get close to, and may get agitated, cry over, and let's just say, yes, jumping from Avengers Endgame, tear, crying, emotional heartbreak, jumping into this one, into every single season of Supernatural, I was agitated. I mean, I laughed, I enjoyed every single season, I still enjoy them to this day, but the first time watching them straight through, nonstop, I actually did get deeply invested on getting close to the characters, which is good, but I didn't know how much I got invested until like I started watching it, and I got even more. There were some characters where, yes, you're supposed to get pissed off, but it's more of, which I did, and yeah, you're supposed to, but I mean, and there was some parts that I liked, and some parts I disagreed and cried over and had a hard time getting over those scenes. I kind of still do, time and time again, but I slowly learned, just like Sam and Dean, that basically you can't stop death, you can't cheat death, and basically, yes, even though they had thanks to God himself, as they quote in the show, because this version of Sam and Dean was basically his favorite version, and yes, it's even more sadder when they have to go up against themselves, like themselves or each other, like the one episode where basically Lucifer was free and they learned that they were the vessels, and that Dean realized that the angels brought back their half brother to be, instead of Dean being the vessel, it's their half brother become the vessel for Michael. And then watching Dean getting beaten by basically being beaten by a pope of well, basically, as I'm trying to say, without getting deeply emotional, uh, watching Sam being possessed by Lucifer and Lucifer basically being beaten Dean to a pulp, and uh, and trying to watch that and trying to process that and trying to not get deeply emotional, and when you know you're going to, and it sucks. And so once I got to the very end of the very last season, and the show wasn't done yet thanks to COVID, it was paused when I thought, okay, during that time I thought COVID wasn't gonna last. So once I knew how long it lasted, I'm like, okay, well, I'm done. Hopefully COVID can be over too. Nope, took a little bit longer, which it killed me of knowing what to know how the 15th season, the last season, or at least during the time knowing it was the last season, the 15th season was going to begin and end. And basically, even though I wasn't happy with Jack, which Jack is a Nephilim, another term for uh, um, basically another term of demigod, where basically Lucifer had took a form of the president, slept with one of the president's secretaries, and she got pregnant, and she ended up having Jack, half human, half angel baby. And even though I learned to care for Jack, and I actually liked Jack, the way it ended off, I did feel bad for Jack. He did not need to die at that moment of I thought, and I felt like Jack deserves some redemption. Well, come the beginning of season 15, finally getting to watch it, I was excited. I was excited, but then I quickly got pissed off because some random asshole demon possessed Jack's body, and it pissed me off. I'm like, as caring for Jack, knowing that's Jack's body, it agitated me. I did not like the idea of that, um and there was some parts where I wasn't there was some parts where I was mixed feelings on not like how good the show was, but more like how everything was going between Dean and Castiel's uh Dean and Castiel, Sam and Dean most of the time. And once we finally got Jack back, I was even more mixed feelings because I was glad that they got him back. We had him back, but that doesn't make that doesn't change the fact that he accidentally killed their mom, which the main big bads, I mean, the final season was God. That was the main big bad. During the first two seasons was Yellow Eyes, and then come across some weird ass monsters. One of the seasons was God's sister, which since Dean saved the religion, kinda saved basically God and his sister. She repaid him by bringing back their mother. Well, you slowly learn to forgive Jack, unless you're the type of person that would automatically not even care. But as I slowly forgiven Jack, and more as the show progressed, of where basically Castiel sacrificed himself for Dean, um, and 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 totally forgetting. Thanks to freaking COVID, I would not have forgotten. Thanks to COVID, I would not have forgotten. That was the darkness. The ending point was the final point, and Castiel made a deal, and at once Castiel learned how to feel loved, how to basically feel human, even though there was a few times he went through moments as a human, but he still had the angel mojo of being stone cold, get out of my way, fuck you type attitude. But at that moment, he finally learned what it meant to actually be human, that he actually gave, which I wasn't ready to hear. I was like very freaking. I'm like, no, no goodbyes, no anything. I don't want to hear it. And when it was a goodbye, I was like, um, and then once Jack, they actually learned the reason why God feared Jack is because he was more stronger than God. Um, Basically, as some people say, with the Greek god, mythological gods, that basically if they have children with a human, they become more powerful than the god itself. So, um, uh, so basically, after Jack defeated God, took all his power, and not really killed him, and became the next god, we went even further, more with the boys, kind of went for the last two, I want to say, episodes, back to basics, where they went back to normal hunting, no gods, no ending of the world type thing, just normal monsters hunting as they did in the very first two seasons. And I'm like, okay, it's getting better. They're enjoying themselves, the peace, the quiet, doing their normal job. And then that's when which I will also mention that basically, when the last season hit and the boys basically went through their own Thanos snap, where God's like, and basically half the whole world except Dean and Sam was left on Earth. And I was like, okay, they'll figure it out. I didn't snap until, I'm a dog and cat lover. Basically, I love dogs, I love cats. And once that scene came, I lost it. I was like, no, I want his head on a freaking spike. So, uh, uh, but once that also scene where Dean and Sam's fighting vampires, and even though he said himself a few times, he's gonna go down swinging. If he's gonna go down, it's gonna go down swinging, not an apple pie life. Nope. And he went down swinging. What I also loved about the 15th season is that basically it mirrored some episodes of what the first bunch seasons brought. Like the ending of the first episode where Sam shuts the trunk. They mirrored that the first episode of the 15th season. Um, the and the lines of the the of the last episode of where basically Dean told Sam that he can't do this without him, and Sam said, "Yes, you can." And Dean said, "Well, I don't want to." And how in that moment, even though yes, the ending was supposed to be different than the ending we got, but I actually appreciate, unlike most fans, I appreciate the ending we actually did get, because to me, I feel like that was more better. That was more Dean, because I felt like if they actually went with a somewhat apple pie life, no, that's not Dean. As he said throughout the series, he's gonna go down swinging, not an apple pie life. That he tried that, he kind of failed at that. He tried the fatherhood. He even tried again with Jack. He even succeeded with Jack. He and um I cried. I and then but I was still able to hold a few tears back once they were showing Dean's death. I actually liked how Sam gave Dean a hunter's burial. Um, I like how Sam took in the dog. Uh, which I also thought it was funny when Dean took in the dog and allowed the dog to get into the car, when all through the show in every season he had a problem allowing a dog in the car. And but uh and how Sam actually settled down but still hunt, and have a family but still having the hunting life, and raise a son that he named Dean. And once it showed him growing older, which sure, yeah, most of the graphics of like the wig and maybe most of this face didn't look that good, but I mean, it, you're gonna cry, you're gonna be emotional. You actually have a connection, so you're not really gonna care with most of that. You're gonna care what more the show is bringing, and um and while it shows Jack remade Heaven of what Heaven is actually supposed to be, Dean is up there enjoying it. He's driving after he shares a beer with Bobby. Um, um, we see Sam getting in the car, feel like closing on his eyes, feel like he's enjoying the wind, back on the road with Dean driving the car, and going to the next town, to the next hunt. And then once it got to Sam being on his deathbed, which this is where I actually realized, in a way, he didn't name his son Dean just to to honor his brother, but to feel like that'd be the only way for him to be able to pass on. Even though it was his son, he still named, because it was in a way still coming from Dean by the heart. And his son told him, it's okay, you could let go. And then Sam wearing the same clothes, and also Dean on the same bridge, back where they were on episode 1, when they went hunting for the woman in white. meeting up and Dean saying, hey Sam, hey Dean, and patting themselves on the back, watching the sweet view while standing on the bridge. That I actually really enjoyed. To me, that was a good, happy ending, even though it was deeply emotional and deeply sad of how it actually. But to me, I feel like that's how it would have gone anyway if we didn't actually fully see that through. Now, is there rumors? But before I get into that, but I actually enjoy the show for what it was, for what it is, because I love how basically how it first slowly starts you off of two brothers looking for their dad, and then while hunting monster. Second season, they lost their dad, but still hunting the same thing, while getting over the emotion of them actually losing their dad, and trying to go on without him. um, and you start seeing the struggles of what Sam and Dean has to go through most times separately. And then while you more progress throughout each season of each monster, you see how much of a more struggle they have to go through, because each main baddie of a monster, like uh the whole Lucifer and Michael apocalypse thing, Vessel, them most I'm dealing with uh Apadeus, Crowley, um uh a Lucifer a few times, and even after, excuse me, sorry, Michael, um God, his God's sister, so, and just so on and so on. But um uh but it's a, to me it's a great show. I actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy much shows, but I actually enjoy what Supernatural brought to the table. I actually loved what Supernatural was as a TV series, as what it was presenting, even though most seasons felt like it lost its feeling, it lost its rhythm now and then, like during the season of where they're fighting one of the angels that basically wrote the hand of God or something like that. The angel tablet and the demon tablet, Metatron. Even though the villain Metatron was the big bad, that season kind of felt like it lost a little bit of its rhythm, a little bit of its excitement now and then. But it was still of a good season. Metatron was still of a good character. To me, he actually had I actually liked one of his speeches that he actually gave to God, when God brought him to the bar, and Metatron was like, you want to write the best biography of all time, you explain to me. Tell me why you abandoned me, us. And that's where God's like, you disappointed me. And God's like, he's like, oh, I'm tired of the G name. Don't call me by my G name. I go by Chuck now. Chuck. I don't answer you unless you call me Chuck. Okay, yeah, good cover name, but okay, ego much. Um, I mean, he complained. You hear God complain so many times throughout the series that basically my human toys, my angel toys, complained way too much, that they needed me and that their egos were a problem. But anyway, But what Metatron threw on the table most of the time, I actually liked what he actually said, and I most time agreed. What Gabriel most time told the boys, like most of the bullshit stuff that he told the boys, or this one speech I actually liked what Gabriel told the boys, that basically that heaven, hell, I don't care who wins, I just want it to be over. Why do you think you're the vessels? Michael, Lucifer, the the forbidden son that didn't follow daddy's rules, and the son that did. That I actually liked hearing coming from Gabriel, because you feel his anger, his passion, and why he just give up and doesn't really want to be in the main picture anymore, and why, and you but even though you want to hate him, you love him anyway. It's like a hate love thing. But I know this video review is long, but to me, Supernatural is a good show. It is something to be appreciated. It's even if you do have your problems with the show, that's totally normal with any show, but it's something most people also have to look past on sometimes, because it's like with some things that the show brings to the table, you gotta look past on, even though you may not believe that exactly happens or that's exactly true. But to enjoy the show, that's exactly what you have to do to enjoy the show, is to ignore it, because that's how the show is. That's how any show can be. Is that basically it could say one thing, it could do one thing, and you think another. So, but if you guys are a Supernatural fan, drop a comments down below. What's your favorite episode? My favorite episode? Oh, I have so many. But if I have to choose one, okay, happy comedy one, it would have to be where Dean takes a potion and he's able to talk to the dog, and not just to the dog, any animal, and the bird scene. Dude, the bird scene. how Dean and the bird was just going back and forth. A sad episode, the most saddest episode, I would say that would be my favorite. Going for the most saddest would be the actual ending. The ending of the whole entire series. That or them losing Charlie. Although, even though when I watched that episode, I was like very tired. I stay up every night and day to watch each episode and season. And when I got to that point, I was freaking exhausted. I was tired. My body didn't know what to cry or throw something at the TV. But because once we see Charlie die, I was just like, no, I'm done. I had enough. I'm done. Fuck it all. But it's that scene or the very last episode of the series where we get to see the whole circle, where Dean gets his happy ending and how Sam gets his happy ending. Even though it's a happy ending, it's still sad. But just any comment down below about Supernatural, anything about Supernatural. What's your favorite episode? Also, another funny episode I like was the Scooby-Doo, especially since that was basically the very first Supernatural episode I have ever seen, and enjoyed, and especially because it brought two of my favorite things together, that since I got into Supernatural, it brought my two favorite things together, Supernatural and Scooby-Doo together. So, but, yeah, anything, Supernatural, comment it down below. Also, if I did do anything wrong during this video, please tell me what I did wrong so I can fix it next time. Or if you guys liked whatever I did in this video, please commented what you liked about what I did in this video. Hit that like button if you liked this video. Hit that dislike button if you didn't like this video. If you're a newcomer randomly dropping by, please hit that subscribe button, because I welcome all new and old subscribers with open arms. If you're an old subscriber, welcome back. I appreciate you guys always keep coming back. Have a nice day. Have a nice night. Whenever you're watching this. Peace.